Disclaimer. This video contains sensitive content, including mentions of self-harm, self-exit, addiction, drug abuse, and physical abuse. Viewer discretion is advised. If you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out to a trusted friend, family member, or professional support service. Help is always available, and you are not alone. Hello, and welcome to We Read It at NiNight, Mammacat version. So, this is one of our 3 babies. His name is Raja. He is the baby of all the babies in the house. He is my first child. And he is a very needy boy. So if you hear him purring, please just try to enjoy the nice comforting sounds of his purrs. He might have his own way of doing things. We're gonna let him see what he does and kind of roll with it. Oh, there you go. There you go, bud. He wants to cuddle dad. All right. So we have thought of the idea of reading some Reddit stories at night as parents, because I have found myself listening to some Am I the Asshole reads, and it has gotten me invested a lot more into Reddit and other people's lives. And because of that, I think as parents, this is a cool new perspective, and we should go ahead and give it a whirl. If you guys like it or like the topics, feel free to comment, like, subscribe. It'll help us continue going. We have our...
Introduce yourself.
I'm Mammacat. Or Helena Lee. Helena Lee Walker Simmons. Got lots of names. And I am the mama of the house of our 3 kitties, two baby girls, my husband, and myself. We have a full house in this 3-bedroom. So, if you are wanting to hang out with us, feel free to enjoy this new little podcast. This is my husband, Brandon Simmons, and he has helped me with a lot of my random crazy creations, adventures. We like to conjoin, collab, whatever you like to say.
I'm her tech support.
He's my tech support when I'm done. Right, so I'm gonna give you 2. Just read the title, and you choose 1 or 2, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you were wanting to hear the other one for Reddit NiNight Read 1, feel free to comment, I want to hear the other one. Maybe we can do a short little clip of it later. All right. So we have from r/stepparents, Wits End - 16-year-old stepson violently assaults me in front of our 5-year-old and I struck back. Or from r/relationship advice, my boyfriend's ex, 30-year-old female, spent the night in my bed with my boyfriend, 30 male, but he recorded it to show me, 25 female, and nothing happened. How do we overcome this? Which one? 1 or 2? Both seem very
interesting.
Or do you need an option 3, because those are just a little bit too deep for our first run in the mill?
No, let's go with let's keep it on kind of parenting, I suppose, because personally, I feel like you and I could have a really lengthy conversation about number 2. So we might want to make that its own little thing. So I'm going to choose number 1 for right now.
All right.
Oh boy.
All right. So, here is what is said. Wit's End. I'm going to read the title again. Wit's End. 16-year-old stepson violently assaulted me in front of our 5-year-old, and I struck back. They're asking for advice, by the way. New here, and I have no idea what to do. For context, stepson has gotten physical with me before when he was 13 and headbutted me in the face in front of his mom, and then chased me into the house and hit me in the back of the head several times. All of this has happened because I got in his face after he cussed his mother out in front of our 2-year-old. Social services got involved and they came and did a house visit and then spoke to all of us. Nothing really ever came of this, and we agreed to implement family therapy, which we all did for a while. But overall, no real changes. His behavior has gotten worse. He has hit a smaller kid on the playground a few weeks later and continued to be a double S to me, his mom, and his brother, as well as I did not read these through, so he had attempted suicide the next year.
We'll put a
please
warning.
Disclaimer.
We'll put a trigger warning. It's okay.
He also became highly involved with substance abuse. Fast forward to the past spring, stepson's behavior has continued to spiral downhill. Therapy hasn't really helped. He had an episode where he came home from a friend's house babbling incoherently about he heard God's voice, could see through the walls, etc. Scared us all shitless. And when we took him to the ER, they gave him an IVC'd him. At the mental hospital, he was diagnosed with bipolar/manic depressive, and no surprise, his grandfather and uncle both had the same mental disorder. His grandfather actually committed suicide before I met the baby mama. He began taking several medications, and they restarted family therapy in home, as well as intensive therapy for her stepson. His overall behavior continued to spiral, and he fights with his mom daily at this point. He's obsessed with using pot, locks himself in his room, and almost is always grounded. He runs away from home frequently for hours at a time, 3 times now, and has been gone overnight, and the cops have been searching for him. Last night, he got really nasty with his mom. He ran away from home Saturday, and his mom had grounded him, taking away his phone, given him an extensive list of chores to do by Monday, since it was a holiday and he had no school. He asked his mom for his phone back to call a friend. She said no, of course, and then proceeded to call her every bad name in the book, grabbing his skateboard, and rode off as she yelled at him to come back. The OP was playing outside with their 5-year-old. About 45 minutes later, he came riding back, and his mom was upstairs. OP saw him go inside and yell for his mom to come down. When he went inside, he ran into his room and came out smoking a vape. His mom began yelling at him to give her the vape and grabbed it from him. He blew smoke in her face and began cursing at her, saying, "You piece of crap, I hate you," except for not exactly in those words. After cursing her out and pushing her away, she ran to the kitchen to get her phone. She told him she was calling the cops. I looked out the window and saw my son on the porch, and I have been trying to stay out of it. He went inside, popped his head back in just to yell more profanities at his mother. When he tried to go back out, I followed him as my son was on the porch. I was scared as he was going to shove the little one in front of him out of his way, as he was in the route of the son's escape. I had told the stepson not to curse in front of his mother or his brother. Stepson then proceeded to curse him out and hit him dead in the forehead. And then again, before OP knew it, he had been hit 3 times right in front of his own 5-year-old son. These were full force punches from a 16-year-old who is 6'1", 150 pounds, for context, not a little guy. OP tried shoving him off so that he could get away, grabbed the stepson grabbed the hoodie and just kept hitting, and OP received about 8 to 9 punches. The stepson's mom is on the porch screaming at him to stop, and the son began cursing at both of them in disbelief. So OP punched him square in the mouth, and when he acted dazed, he got yelled at his mom to go back inside. They ran to try and close the door, and he pushed it open before we could lock it. Essentially, a few moments later, cops were called. Everybody was talked to by the cops. They handcuffed OP and charged him with simple assault. The officers and magistrate said they were conducting juvenile justice, as he would have been arrested if he were 17 and not 16. Since I hit him, a juvenile, I was charged. The whole accident is total bullcrap. He is currently at the beach with his grandmother, and his mom doesn't know what to do, and I don't either. For the last several years, he's been hell for their youngest and for OP. They don't know where to turn, and both are at the end of their ropes and feel like this young boy is jeopardizing everybody's freedom in the household. His mom has mentioned to the group, and OP is very supportive of this, but at the end of the day, he doesn't think that his mom will end up giving up custody of her son. Wow. That's a whole deep...
That was a lot more than just...
That was a lot more than I bargained for.
What does it say? I struck back? That's a lot more than just one incident.
Oh. Whew. I mean... Whew. Because it sounds like OP is the stepfather of this young boy. Excuse me, not sponsored, but I need a drink. A small little sip after that whole conversation.
So did he say like when he came into this boy's life? Was it like right when he was being born, or was it?
It sounds like the youngest is his biological son. And the youngest does seem to be at least, it says the youngest is 5 years old. So he has been in this young boy's life since he's been 11.
Okay.
But it doesn't give any more context as to what's going on.
Obviously, it doesn't sound like they've had a good relationship since the beginning. So.
Well, and it's hard. I feel like in this case, I don't want to just base it off of medical history.
No,
because I mean, you don't know exactly. We know a little bit of the medical history of the biological mother, but you have no idea there's no context on what's going on with the biological father, or if the biological father is in this young boy's life at all. And I think that can be a big portion of maybe why this young boy is lashing out to both the mother and potentially the stepdad, because I mean, it can be pretty hard for a young man to go through life without a dad. And same for a young girl. I mean, you need both sides, and it can be very difficult to navigate your feelings and emotions. And it sounds like they have tried therapy, but it doesn't seem like just therapy or in-house therapy was working. It does look like there has been other suggestions.
And I mean, like, I totally understand that, because I mean, I kind of having similar. I mean, I didn't have my dad in my life for like 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
and definitely breeds resentment, not just for him, but for the parents that I did have.
Mm-hmm.
So my stepdad, my mom. Obviously, thankfully, I was a little bit older. How old was I? I was 14 when that happened. And he did obviously come back into my life and work through everything. I mean, you've met him and stuff like that. He's awesome.
Yeah.
And I didn't hold it, but at first, obviously, yes, that bred a lot of resentment for not just him, but for the other parents in my life and stuff. So I totally understand that, and mixed with other mental health situations that are going on, obviously, that are linked to family and stuff. Quit it.
He just wants to pet the cord.
I don't know what the what my suggestion would be for the parents. So I guess.
I mean, as a child who had I had split parents. However, I had amazing step parents on both sides. I am extremely lucky. I still went through a lot of similar things that this young 16-year-old boy is going through, because in my opinion, from my perspective of what had happened in my life, of being given a very good set of cards compared to some kids, is every single child is going to have questions of what they can ask and what they can't, and when they can't feel like they can open up to someone about those questions, whether it's a one-on-one therapist or a parent of any kind, they're going to find a way to deal with those emotions in a separate way. And it sounds like that's what maybe this young boy's doing. I mean, looking at the comments, I actually think they're going around the right track, which, I mean, if the young boy is not addressing to himself that he's a problem, it looks like some people suggested enacting the Banker Act with this young kid, which is referring the young boy to a residential psychiatric facility that is deemed proper for what he may need, and so that he will be almost forced to commit to rehabilitation, and not only that, to finding out what can help him personally. As someone who's been to a mental facility herself, I mean, I inpatiented myself because I just was not well, and I was just mentally not okay and not liking myself. And I knew that wasn't safe for me, or so I mean, if someone does not have the strength to walk in there themselves, then it's okay to have others, in my opinion, have the strength to help you. I don't think it's a weakness. I do think it's something it sounds like he really needs, because I mean, he's young. He's not at the age yet where it could affect, I mean, what he's doing could affect his whole life. And if he continues with this behavior, I mean, it could spiral out of control real quickly.
It sounds like it already has, honestly.
I mean, if he's getting physically violent
The
with
cops
others,
have been called twice. Well, CPS and then the cops.
yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, it definitely makes me question, because he's with his grandparents at the beach, if he does.
That's another red flag.
If he does have these violent tendencies towards his grandparents at all, or like, is there people specifically in his life, but not not on his age group, maybe, that he can have the adult discord with, of like, okay, how do I be a man, or how do I, what is life for me, so we can ask those big provoking questions that a young person has, but without feeling like, okay, but mom's judging me because of me failing this test, and I just want to lash out because I hate everything. Because I mean, as a young person, you tend to escalate everything tenfold. And I mean, especially young boys, they're known for having more testosterone and more anger problems. What young girls aren't as much, but it doesn't mean they don't. And so, I mean, any violence at all is definitely a flag to address. Okay, but where is his safe space, people? I think is a very good thing. And if they can't work with those safe space people and maybe put him in a different environment, even a new school, and see if that works with the therapy, then, and if that doesn't work at all, then I definitely suggest inpatienting, just because if that is the only way to pull someone's life back on track and they're your child, you want what's best for them. And at the end of the day, it sounds like he's really making a mess out of the family you're trying to create. But I will say, if the young boy does get inpatiented, you should definitely be asking yourself the same question, OP, of, okay, well, where am I escalating certain behaviors? How can I help more? And
it's like,
because if he's going to try and get better, then you need to try and help too.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Swallow. No, and I mean, you have a lot of good points, and a lot of people are saying, like, do you mind if I read some comments?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Like, yikes, this is a lot. You need to immediately remove him from your home and get a good lawyer. Take your child and stay with family. Your wife going to continue to sacrifice you and your child because of her teen. Next time he could attack your little one, then how will you feel? If your wife won't do something about her son, grab your kid and leave. Literally, it's just everybody saying leave. And obviously, yes, you want to put your own child. You want to put them first, essentially. But it also depends on his relationship with his stepson. Because I mean, I know if it's like, if this were me, if I was this kid and my stepdad were dealing with me, he wouldn't leave. Because he loves me like his own son. And he's known me since I was 11. And so even at that age, he would have, which I don't, trust me, I was nowhere near this bad, but he would definitely stay and work through it. And first off, he would not let me hurt my siblings, period, end of story. But I suppose that, as we all know, people on Reddit are very quick to say divorce, leave, whatever. And yes, that is valid, but I think it's very, very much situational and up to OP. They were talking about, like you said, the Baker Act, or some variation thereof. It's essentially what they did, IVC'd, meaning involuntarily committed. I didn't know what that meant. So that was interesting. And that's essentially what the Baker Act does. And they said maybe you can do that again.
I mean, my suggestion as a person, like I said, who's been through that, inpatiented herself personally, has lashed out to my step parents as well as my parents. He just wants love.
He wants the microphone.
And majorly regrets it too, knowing that my parents are really good people and that I was just going through something and I didn't know how to talk to them about it. I suggest first having that open Discord without the younger child involved.
Yeah.
Asking him specifically what he needs. Saying, look, we want to help you.
It sounds like there needs to be more communication, definitely.
Yeah, because if you can't just, like, kids, especially when they're teens, they're going to struggle, no matter what teen it is. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is a rough part for this teen, but every teen's going to have their own struggles. Every teen is going to have a moment where they're going to want to run away, or they're going to want to do something like that. It happens. I mean, it's not uncommon. And it's becoming even more common nowadays because of the internet. So you have to, and I mean, you have to take all that into consideration. But I don't think, I don't, Rasha, it is not time to play. He said, maybe it is. I said, okay, so I don't think, though, I mean, I'm trying to put myself in the OP's place because, I mean, we have our daughters, and one of them is my stepdaughter, my daughter. But if she was going through the same thing and she was in her teens, and, for example, my biological daughter was the young one in this position, I'm not gonna lie, I'd be pretty freaked out. But, I mean, given the fact that you are a step-parent who walked into this knowing that your partner had a child, and it's been 5 years since you've had a kid, so you were a little bit aware of some of the problems that this young boy had been having. You have to, especially if this young boy, or in my case, if my young stepdaughter was having these issues, find a way to break that barrier that you guys are having in between yourselves. Because, I mean, it's important to have that connection. Because if the connection is being broken due to their biological other parent, that's one thing. That's never going to change. And that's okay. But if it's because of a discord between the two of you, between a stepdaughter and a step-parent, that's something that's easily able to be worked out with just talking. And maybe even supervised talking at this point, because it sounds like it's gone a little bit too far. But that's okay. Things happen, and sometimes, you know, even adults need supervised talks. So, all right. So, are you ready for something a little bit more?
A little.
It's more positive. We went real deep into the parenting, so we're gonna go.
That was
something that's a little bit more goofy.
That was 30 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean, probably more like 20, but still.
I mean, it's okay.
No, it's fine.
I feel like whoever that person was, they definitely wanted thoughts and opinions. Mm-hmm. So if you have any suggestions for that OP, for that Reddit, please feel free to comment for them. If you have any other suggestions that maybe we're not thinking of, I'm sure if they're seeing this, we'll make sure to comment where we're posting this so that they can see your comments. All right. So this one is from r/parenting. Okay. And the title is... Wait, do you want to read it or do you want me to read it?
Okay.
I'll let you read it because it's cute and I want to hear you read it.
Okay. All right. So I'm watching levels. All right. My toddler had a full meltdown because his banana broke in half. Parenting a toddler is like living in a comedy show where the punchlines make you cry and laugh at the same time. This morning, my 2-year-old had what can only be described as an apocalyptic meltdown. The cause of this emotional explosion? His banana broke in half. We were having a perfectly normal breakfast, and he was happily holding his banana when, suddenly, the unspeakable happened. It snapped clean in half. The look on his face was pure betrayal, like the banana had personally offended him. He threw both pieces on the floor and screamed like his world had just crumbled before his eyes. I tried to put the pieces back together and even pretended it was a magic banana, but no luck. He was inconsolable. I offered a new banana, thinking that might fix it, but he refused, sobbing even harder at the mere sight of it. Eventually, I just sat there holding him while he wailed about this existential banana crisis. It was 20 minutes of total chaos before he calmed down. And by then, I felt like I needed a nap more than he did. Anyone else's kid had a meltdown over something totally ridiculous? It's moments like these that remind me just how serious little things can be to a toddler. Would love to hear your stories. Misery loves company, right? Sounds like a very Luna thing to do.
So our youngest, Miss Lavera Luna Simmons, she, so, OP, let me tell you about our daughter. This week, in fact, I was trying to do something, very, I guess, post-worthy, where you try and have a campfire in the backyard and watch a movie on your since we have
on a tiny projector
one of
on the
those
wall.
tiny projectors, since we have like a white house, we don't need, well, I tried to do this. My husband, awesome. I have so many ideas and he runs with it. And so I was getting all the girls ready in the backyard, he was setting up the fire and cooking the food and stuff. Well, he started cooking the hot dogs.
Oh.
And
I put the hot dog on the skewer. 2 of them. I put the skewer over the fire.
Like you do to cook a hot dog.
On a campfire. Meltdown. She started screaming, not anger, but in fear.
in fear
in
for
terror.
The hot dogs on the skewer above the fire.
She thought we were hurting the hot dogs.
And all she wanted was the food of the hot dogs.
She didn't wailed.
And it wasn't just this one occurrence. It wasn't like after she got her hot dog, was she fine? No. It continued for every single hot dog.
Those first 2 were for her and her sister. And then I started making mine and Mom's. And this even hot dog in her mouth. As soon as I put it over,
No.
Just.
It was like she went straight to her knees and was. And then she just kept looking at me, big old tears.
Literally.
And her face was covered in hot dog from her
hot dog. She was soot and literally tear streaks down her face.
Yeah, it was dramatic.
Oh my goodness.
And when I asked her, what's wrong? Hot dog! The agony of being a toddler. If only we could refill all of those big old feelings again.
Top comment. My God, some of the meltdowns. I was doing potty training with a candy bribe. Nothing big, just 2 M&Ms for number 1. Well, my kid used the potty, and I went to get the M&Ms. And I figured, hey, why not give some more? Because they also went potty at daycare. Oh my goodness. The screaming that occurred when I set out not 2, but 5 M&Ms. Because it's only 2 for potty, only 2. I had to take away the extra M&Ms, so there was only 2 on the table, and hug them to calm them down. Then, I kid you not, teardrops still clinging to their hands, they said, "Can I have your M&Ms?" The ones in my hand. The ones they just pitched a fit at me giving. Yeah, sure, fine. So this is so on point, I had to read it out loud to my spouse. Jeez.
Yeah, yep.
It's funny. It's funny. Toddlers are funny.
Toddlers are great.
I love that. It's like a comedy show where the punchlines make you cry and laugh at the same time. That is
But you can't show that you're laughing while you're crying. Like, you can't show you're laughing at them because they'll look at you with this deeply concerned face. Oof. Oof. Oof.
Goodness.
And it's hard not to smile when they look at you with that face. You gotta stay very solemn.
My niece once had a meltdown because she wanted a PB&J and was upset because peanut butter goes on the top and her sandwich was upside down. My savvy sister told her to close her eyes. Then she flipped the sandwich over on the plate. When she opened her eyes, jelly on the bottom where it belongs.
I got one. This is one of my cousin.
Oh, yeah?
So my cousin Lily.
Don't say names.
My cousin. My baby cousin. Bless her heart, but I remember when she was my daughter's age. And this story, honey, is why I don't let cat food in the house. Because this meltdown was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. I was so... Like, I walked outside for 10 minutes afterwards because I just couldn't be in the house. I was like, ew. So this child had gotten into the dog food. But every single time she was shoveling the dog food in, my aunt at first thought it was funny, so she brought everyone in to show. And my cousin kept shoveling it and going, like it was marshmallows. And the gravy was just running down her face. But let me tell you, the scream, it sounded like a pterodactyl screamed when my aunt went in there to take the dog food away and to also clean this little girl's mouth out. She every time she would try and clean, there's just big tears, big pterodactyl screams. Oof. But yeah, cool. Never put animal food around your children. Nope. It's disgusting.
Nope.
Will not allow it. We have our front porch screened in, so we can have the litter boxes and the food, cat food, and cat water out there because I am not having it happen to me again. Scarred. I'm scarred.
Goodness.
Kids are very funny.
Kids are something else.
Something else.
Something else.
All right. Ooh. Should we do a... Okay. We're going to do a similar subreddit, but you choose from Am I the Asshole?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Am I the asshole for asking my fiance to skip this year's Christmas family vacation because our baby is due? That is number 1. Or... am I the asshole for not wanting to co-parent with my in-laws?
Let's do number 2. I think we can have a good conversation about that one.
All right.
Okay.
So, again, this is from Am I the Asshole? And the OP is asking, am I the asshole for not wanting to co-parent with my in-laws? OP goes to say, this whole situation sucks, and I understand I am not objective, so tell me if I'm being unfair. 2 years ago, my wife passed away from genetic illness. There were many different layers to the horror of the tragedy, one of which is that we were getting divorced at the time. We still loved each other, but we were no longer in love with each other. We rushed into marriage without a plan, but we did not want to make the same mistake twice. We planned everything for our divorce, where we would each live, how we would handle our son's schedule, everything. Then she died before we could sign. We were laughing and joking in her hospital room 3 days before she passed. Part of me still doesn't believe it. The last 2 years have been extremely hard. My mother-in-law, who has the same genetic condition, is very sick and might not have long left. She future in-law and sister-in-law have pushed a lot of time with my son, which I absolutely support and accommodate to the best of my ability. However, they get upset if I ever say no. My in-laws think that the agreement my wife and I drew up before she died should still be in effect, that her time now belongs to them, and they think that he should be with them 50% of the time, and that they should have as much of a say in everything as me. And I disagree. They are not my wife. Yes, they are her family, but they are not his mother. She is gone. I know my mother-in-law probably does not have a lot of time left, and I want her to spend as much of it with my son as possible, but I'm still his dad. I'm his stability. He needs me, especially when he's coping with the loss of his mother. Sister-in-law said I son, quote, too much during the school year and wants him to spend the rest of the summer with her parents. I said no. I do not want him gone more than 4 days at a time, unless it's for a special event or something, which I will try to accommodate. He's my baby, and I still need him with me, not every single day, but with a certain amount. Sister-in-law said I am being a disgusting person, and the son will cut contact with me when he is older, when he realizes I've deprived him of so much precious time with his grandmother. He's at their house right now, and I'm picking him up tomorrow afternoon. Sister-in-law has been texting me all night saying to leave him there for longer, and that if I don't, I have a sickness in my soul. Is she right? Am I being cruel?
Is that it?
That is it.
My
That
goodness.
is what the OP states. So yep.
No, he's not being cruel.
All right. No, I want your full perspective. Go
All
ahead.
right. No, he's not being cruel at all. Sounds like he's actually being very reasonable. Very demure. No.
Very demure.
No. It's funny because we are currently in court right now. And so I actually asked this question to the mediator and lawyer, and said, so if I want my wife to take over my rights if I were to pass away, could I make that happen? And they said, no, because your name is not on the parenting plan. It has to be on the parenting plan. And for that to change, you have to go through it's like a whole. Well, no, sorry, it's not that it's not on the parenting plan. That's a whole state issue. That's a whole other thing. It has nothing to do with the parenting plan. Sorry, that one. And so that's a whole state issue. That's a whole different type of lawyer, different type of system. And it's not the same as like a will or something. It's like a completely separate thing. So no, they don't have, and that, of course, that might just be in our state, but they don't have any rights to the child. the fact that he is completely okay with working with them, working with their schedule to try to give them as much time as he is comfortable with, I think that's perfect. I think that's more than enough. Yes, they might want their grandchild more. I get that, especially if she doesn't have much time. I'm sure if they were nice about it, that he would be willing to give as much time as possible to them. But it sounds like they're just wanting, and not really wanting to give any. And so now it there has to be a villain, apparently. So I don't know. I think the dude's fine.
I mean, I am not gonna lie. I am kind of agreeing. I'm looking at these comments. Um, and okay, first comment, top comment is you are not the asshole, you are the parent. They raised one child already, and your son is not a replacement child for their daughter, which I will say is a thing, because although I do agree with what you're saying of like states and all of that, I mean, I have my own feelings about if you're a step parent that was married and that was your stepchild, that was your child still, in my eyes. But I mean, in this case, they were getting a divorce, and I mean, it even happened before the divorce.
And he's still willing to work with them.
And he's still willing to work with them. It's not like the divorce led to a falling out with the family completely. And I'm not going to lie, if the grandmother's going through this too, does the son need to be witnessing all of this again after just traumatically losing his biological mother? Because, I mean, did they say how old the son is? But, I mean, it's traumatic to lose a parent. Like I've said, I have 4, and I cannot imagine losing one of my parents. And, so, I mean, just as much as the dad is saying, like, hey, I need my son, maybe not every day, but I need my son. I mean, the son needs his father right now, too, because he just lost his mother.
And it also sounds like they were going through a divorce, but they weren't divorced. It's not like they were divorced for 10 years or something. They were going through a divorce. So this still has to hurt. I mean, one, you're losing someone from the divorce, and then you're actually losing them, period, in the story. Like, even if he was the one to push the divorce, that's still losing someone. And then to actually lose them, that's kind of suck.
Well, and another comment is, the in-laws seem to be glossing over the fact that grandma is sick and will need care. Young children take a lot of energy, and sometimes grandparents can't often keep up for extended period of time when healthy, let alone sick, which is probably, they would probably expect him to just sit around and be on his best behavior most of the time, which is very unreasonable for a child, let alone one that just lost his mother. Has anyone brought up the fact that watching his grandmother die is not a good idea right after he just watched his mother pass away? Because if this were to happen and he was there all summer and she's declining quickly, that is a horrible thing to make him watch. Not only traumatize him even more. And yeah, and then for the sister-in-law then to even say, like, almost throw it back on the dad, like, well, he needs to cut ties with you in the future. I mean, I'm honestly, like, kind of baffled. Like, you can tell she doesn't maybe have children of her own, because if she were to lose her partner,
they're probably younger.
I mean,
with
like, our kids, we have a 4-year-old and almost 1.5, and I can't imagine that. If I were to lose you and then, like, say for some reason your father has the same genetic thing and was up my butt, I don't think he would be. But, I mean, you know, throwing ifs, ands, or buts out there.
Regardless of, and even that's the thing is, like, yes, it sucks that she has the same disease and stuff. Regardless of that, even regardless,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't give him a right to be acting this way
Well,
and to demand these things.
And not only that, to demand it of the father who
Mm-hmm.
is still grieving over. I mean, yes, they were getting a divorce, but that was still his wife.
And they demand it like they're owed it, and they're not owed anything. If they would have come at it in a completely different scenario or a completely different approach, he probably would have given them everything that they wanted. But it's like now you coming offensively,
And
he's gonna aggressively he's gonna want to be defensive.
Well, and I kind of wonder what was said because I mean, the OP is he said in the original post that his almost ex-wife 3 days before she passed and him were joking about it. What was said about the future in case something happened?
And it honestly sounded like it was a good divorce.
Yeah,
like they were it was a mutual.
And I mean, if for some reason her family is pushing the fact that this needed to be a thing throughout, was that something that was already previously discussed
or in the works
or in the works, and then it was just brought up in passing so they feel like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it doesn't indicate that he has to do it, but I mean, if it was brought up in the works, I could still see their hurt and why they would be hurt.
But it doesn't sound like it. No, it sounds like that him and his wife had everything figured out, and that
just
was not,
the two of them.
Yeah, that was not part of it.
I mean,
from what we know.
I mean, from if there was
and
more
it's strongly is determined as well by how old the kid is. I mean, like it says, it doesn't say. Because if it's like a 12-year-old, they're obviously gonna have. I mean, in the court, they can have their own opinion. They're gonna have some things to say, I'm sure. But if it's like a 1-year-old or something like that, then...
or even a 5-year-old, like I cannot imagine a 5-year-old or like Bella going through losing either her mom or you, and then like demanding something of either one of you, like. When a child is going through that, like, I mean, maybe it's because I don't know sometimes how to cope with death, but especially when it's someone that close. Yeah. I have been extremely lucky thus far to not have lost someone I have been extremely close with yet. So, or at least remember it. And not like, blocked it out of my brain. So, yeah, it definitely depends on the child's age, and honestly, if the family's even bringing it up to the kid, I kind of wonder, because I mean, depending on the child's age, like, what if they're saying it in passing to like a 5-year-old?
Yeah.
Like, you should cut off ties with your parent, like with your dad in the future, and
definitely shouldn't be around them then.
Oof. I would be very upset if I was him if someone said that to me. Yeah. Or, yeah.
I don't. That's ridiculous. No, not the asshole.
No, I agree, and the verdict was on this one as not the asshole. Good. So I'm really glad he got that verdict because
not the asshole. Plain and simple. That was not what I was expecting though from the post. When I was like talking about co-parenting with the grandparents, I totally thought it was like, oh, like they just don't want to keep up with their constant like comments and all this stuff, not actually co-parenting, because yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
All right. Do you want to pick the last one?
Sure.
What?
I'll give you the choice.
Oh, that sounds nice. Which choices seem like? Usually I don't like choices. I hate choosing the food. Russia. He said, leave me alone. I'm curled up on the edge of the bed.
So, you can see that we are in our bed.
Yep.
Literally where we sleep at night.
With our beautiful wedding photo above us.
I don't know if they can see that or not.
Oh, well, if you can't, there's a beautiful wedding photo of the two of us from when we got married.
All right, so we're gonna do.
Just so all of you know, this is usually what we do, just without the microphone and less lights. Usually I'm sitting here scrolling and going, honey, listen to this one. What do you think? And then go on a tangent.
All right, so we're gonna do some more Am I the Assholes? Because why not? Am I the asshole for not staying with my wife during her C-section even after she asked?
Oof.
Or am I the asshole for not lending money to my parents who lends money to my older brother?
Oof. I'm gonna go with the C-section one because I have personal experience
Okay.
with Love Your Luna. All right, let me hear it. I'll try to be nice.
Oh my gosh. It's funny, I opened this up and the first mod message is, be civil. Why is everyone so angry and sexist today? Is it the heat? Okay, sorry.
Foreshadowing.
Am I the asshole for not staying with my wife during her C-section even after she asked? I don't like the operating room, and at some point of my life, hospital. When my ex-wife had her C-section, she had a complication and hovered between life and death for a long time. It was a horrible experience to feel so helpless. Currently, I deal with this in therapy. Several things have improved, but going into an operating room is a big no-no for me. When my ex had our second child, I was very nervous and she asked me to wait outside the operating room. When my current wife and I decided to try to have children, I made it very clear that I didn't care what her choice of delivery was, but C-section I would not enter, but that I would stay by her side at all times except for operation. She agreed and eventually became pregnant. I'm guessing their first language is not English. Yeah, that's okay. She decided in the middle of the pregnancy that it would be a C-section, and I said that was fine, but I remembered my limitation. She understood and invited her mother to take my place. On the day of the surgery, before she had a C-section, she asked me to come in with her because she wanted a moment on our own. I apologized, but this was my limit and I couldn't. She said, "Fine, I'll go with my mother then," and had a crying face. I tried talking to her, but to no avail, and my mother-in-law kept looking at me disgusted. Anyway, I don't think it would have been hell because I was very nervous and it definitely wouldn't have helped at all inside the operating room. It would have been hell. Sorry. Everything went well and our daughter was born beautiful and healthy. I was already at the exit of the operating room waiting for them and I didn't leave their side. Later, when we were alone, my wife said that I abandoned her at a vulnerable time and left her alone when she needed me most. I tried talking to her, but she said that now we need to focus on our daughter, but that she was disappointed in me as a partner. Apparently, my mother-in-law told family members what I did, and I'm being criticized. My wife and I have only talked about the baby, and this has been going on for a week now. Am I the asshole?
So, how many wives did he have? I mean, I'm not no judgment here, but it sounded like three.
Hmm?
3 wives?
No, 2 wives.
2 wives,
Mm-hmm.
but the first one almost had a near-death experience, which scarred him. Correct?
During the first child, yes.
Okay, so he has 3 children,
Yes.
and the third child
Is with his now wife.
And it's his daughter, and she's upset with him now.
Yes.
All right, so that clears the air a little bit, and now I'm a lot less frustrated. Because I mean, coming at it from a non-gender perspective, because I'm going to try it that way, because I have been in the operating room for a C-section. My C-section was planned for the next day, July 5th, but a little firecracker next to us decided to be born on July 4th at 6 a.m. So it was technically an unplanned C-section. I can understand how scary those are, considering that it was Brandon's first C-section too, and he struggled, right, honey?
Yeah, well, I mainly struggle. So there's actually a comment about this, but I mainly struggled when they were trying to give me the IV.
Yes.
I almost passed out too.
Yes, I remember that. He almost passed out. I didn't. I was almost cussing everybody out. I just wanted them to get it done and get the IV in my system so I could get the baby out of me.
I was literally about to like white out. Like I was lose. I had to sit down and drink some soda, and I couldn't because I don't like needles. I don't like needles, and that was the one thing. Is like I told Helen, I was like, look, I'll be with you for every moment. I cannot be there when they do the epidural. Cannot do it. I can't do it. Needles, big needle, can't do it. Haven't even seen the needle they use because I don't wanna. I've heard it's bad. But them just doing the IV, I mean, they stuck you 8, 9 times, literally almost passed out.
Yep. I mean, I got sick afterwards, mostly because her moving as much as she was.
And the contractions. You were going through it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I was already holding through contractions way longer than I should have been, because we had to drive there.
Yeah.
And which is why they were immediately pulling us for the C-section before someone who was supposed to give a live birth. But, okay, going just all of that experience of our own personal experience with our daughter, Luna. Going based off what he said, if everything in this is 100% accurate, meaning like his first 2 children with his first wife, I mean, he had that experience and he was upfront with his second wife about that experience, about the trauma that lied there, but that he would be outside the whole time waiting for her, making sure the baby was safe, making sure she was safe. But because of that experience, he could not put himself in that situation again. Mm-hmm. I personally think him being forward with her and the second wife, agreeing that, okay, that's fine, I'll take my mom. Since it was
after
agreed
changing
upon,
her mind already.
Yeah, after like changing her mind already.
Yeah, at first they weren't gonna do C-section, and then she changed her mind to do a C-section.
I didn't really think you could just choose a C-section. I thought it was
She decided in the middle of pregnancy that it would be a C-section. Interesting. I didn't either. I didn't think you could.
I mean, as someone who had a breech baby the entire time of her pregnancy, I didn't know that could happen. Like, you could choose to have a C-section. But, I mean, if she went out of her way to choose that, I mean, it's not like he told her, well, either way, whether you have a live birth or you have a C-section, I am not going to be present for either. I'm going to have to stay outside the door. He said specifically this specific occurrence, and she chose that. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, given that he stated that and was very upfront about it, it sounds like they even talked about it before having the baby.
Before getting pregnant.
Before even getting pregnant. She was well aware of this.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, a woman's logic of, well, my partner should be there. But, I mean, I'm going to say it, unfortunately, this is a 21st century where not always your partner is there. And your partner is going to be even outside the operating room anymore. So, I guess that being said, I'm a lot more sensitive for the fact that he said, look, I'll be there, but you need to understand this boundary of mine. Because, I mean, that's respecting himself. I mean, it sounds like his first child put a lot of stress on him, and not only him, but probably him and his first wife's relationship about children and all of that. And I mean, me and you had that conversation of what happens if something were to happen to me. And not every couple has that kind of big conversation before going into, I mean, we knew I had a breech baby. There was no way my little body was going to try and flip that nugget. She's got a big head.
Yeah.
I tried everything. Flipping myself upside down on the couch. I tried ice pack. I tried everything in the book. I tried every single TikTok reel that you could find of a pregnant lady flipping the baby. But nope, nothing worked. Even my OBs had tried, because I went to specialized care, because they were making sure that her head was going to be normal, since she was right in between my rib cage. But yeah, me and my husband, we had that conversation of what is going to happen if something happens to me, and he has to make that hard choice of what to what. So if it is brought forward to him in a situation, there is no question, we've already brought it up together. So he would not be making that decision alone, even if I'm not cognitive. Because I find that extremely important, because you never know what is going to happen. Any surgery at all is terrifying. So, I mean, I think if anybody's being the asshole in this case, it's a second wife. Because she is not understanding of the fact that he has trauma there. She's the one who chose a C-section, unless it was like, okay, the baby turned out to be breech. All right, honey, I really, really, really have to have a C-section now. So will you go with me? And he says no, because of course that's his boundary. Take your mom. And if she's fine with it, I mean, every mom is excited to see their grandchild. If you decided that you didn't want to be there for a C-section, my mom would have been there in a heartbeat. Heartbeat. Either one of my moms would have been there. Even your mom would have been there.
Heartbeat.
Heartbeat.
In fact, we had to tell them not to come because they wanted to be there anyways.
Yes.
Just in the hospital.
And I was just, shivering to the point I could barely even hold my baby after having her. So.
So yeah, you're right. The verdict was not the asshole.
Good. Does it have any updates or anything for this poor soul? Well,
not that I see.
Well,
but
sir, ma'am, I do think if you're listening in on this, please remember that.
Yes, in my country, C-section can be a choice as long as the pregnant woman is aware of the risks. Interesting.
I mean, there are risks into having a C-section versus
natural. There's risk to both.
Yeah, so. There's risk to both, but C-section tends to be in certain countries more.
Top comment as of right now. I'm not going to read it all, but doctors don't want anyone in the room who is not helpful. Nervous, anxious, angry, confrontational, whatever will distract them, influence the patient, take up unproductive physical space and time.
100%. I remember the person who gave me my epidural. He said, all right, you seem very anxious and nervous, so I'm going to need you to tell me when you can't feel anything anymore. And he just kept giving me medicine until I didn't. Because even the woman, everybody in that room has to be okay.
Yeah, everybody is. That's why I didn't want to be in there for the epidural, but they wouldn't even let me. Like, they said, no, you can't go in there right now.
Probably because he almost fainted about the 9 different times.
No, I think that's just their I mean, yes, correct. I would not have gone in there even if they said I could have, but they would not let me, which I thought that was very interesting. Yes, exactly this. My husband had to be escorted out of the room before my second son was born because he couldn't handle the sight of the spinal block needle, which is the epidural. He later admitted that he was beginning to hyperventilate because I'd had complications with my first birth, and he felt like he could lose me.
Aww.
He was only allowed to re-enter the room when they were sure that he would help my situation, not make it worse.
But these men with
Yeah.
wonderful big hearts who still are feeling so much for their partner going through all of this, us women who have gone through it, we love you. Thank you for being here today.
This guy knew his limits and isn't any less of a man because he admitted his limitations.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Because if a woman can say, okay, well, my limit is like, I don't want to, I mean, his second wife, she chose not to have a live birth. That's a limit. So why can she say that, but he can't say, look, I'm not going to help this situation if I'm in that room.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still going to love our child,
and
but...
he did like you were saying, he did everything else.
Yeah.
But he said, I cannot do this one thing, so I will do everything else to the best of my ability, except this one thing.
Yeah, and it's not like he left the hospital. Like, I've heard some crazy stories. Yeah. He did not leave the hospital. He didn't leave her completely alone. I mean... It sounds like he still was a good partner to her. He just said, hey, look, here's some problems that I've had in my past. Here's why I can't do that. Here's why I understand if you would like me to do that, but I cannot.
Yep.
So, I mean, addressing your boundaries in a partnership of any kind is very important. All right.
That was it.
That was it.
That was what, 5? 4 or 5? 4 or 5?
4?
4 or 5? 4?
You guys count. Let us know. Was it 4? Was it 5?
Tell us.
I'm not sure. We don't remember.
We'll find out.
I'm only halfway through this Angry Orchard. Maybe by the end we'll find out if we've had 4 or 5.
We'll find out. But no, that was fun. Good little first episode. Hour and 11 minutes in.
All right. Let us know if you have enjoyed this, if you want us to try it again, or...
This is the first episode, so just bear with us.
If you want
Give us a lot of grace.
If you want us to look into different subreddits, I am all for scouring, so I am...
Or anything...
Lurker.
Anything production-wise with it, too. Let me know. That's my job. We've had some difficulties setting this thing up, and finally just said, screw it, we're going to use a phone. To record it, and then we got this thing here. This has been here the whole time. I love this thing. This thing, Spokesrite Scarlet, love it. So simple, so easy to set up, works wonderful. Cameras, not so much.
Yeah, cameras are a little bit more complicated, especially if you have a Fujifilm. Got any ideas for us? Please comment down below, because I use Fuji for some photography. To take some pretty pictures of our kids.
Yep. So,
if you would like to support us with coffee, what is
coffee? It? There's coffee. The coffee, buy me a coffee. Or so if you guys want to do that, I think you can use it kind of like a Patreon. Or if you think we should set up a Patreon type deal to do more of these. Like the ones that we went and did the choices today, doing more episodes, things like that. If you wanted to see more, tell us what you guys would want.
Yeah, we want to know what you want and what is the most intriguing to hear from us.
Yeah, and do you want us to just make more videos? Do you want us to make more better quality videos and have them cost? Do you want whatever?
If your Reddit post was commented on, and we did read it, do you think we should go back and tell that Reddit post where we are posting this and let them know, hey, we are letting our viewers comment also and give you suggestions below?
Yeah, if you have any suggestions for any of these posts or anything like that, or just comments, questions, concerns, throw it in the comments below. And we will read all of them. I promise you that.
Yes.
She doesn't. I will. I probably will regardless. So, but
I like my audiobooks.
Yeah, help us out. We got single income family, breadwinner of a wife, college student, stay at home husband.
Hey, he cooks way better than I ever could, and let me tell you, when I say IT guy of the year, He is IT Guy of the Year. So we have been looking. This is one of the multiple different ways we have tried to create a second income for our family. So if you would like to support us in generating that second income for us to, one, pay off my terrible student loans,
and
work
mine
on
that
his,
are accruing as we speak.
work on his, and maybe even help us with some debt that we've accrued from being a one-income household, or you are feeling our pain with you. If this ever blows up, I know my goal for this eventually was to help other single income family households. So if this is
other parents and stuff,
it's
rough out there right now, man.
It's rough for parents, and oof. If you are a young parents like us, either like I'm almost 29.
28 almost.
So I mean, if you're around our age or even younger, I mean what is it now? 3 years?
Almost 2 married.
Almost 2 married, 3 together. So
we got married quick.
We did get married quick. We had a little nugget on the way though, so
wouldn't change
no
it
judgment.
For the world. Wouldn't change
Shotgun
it for the world.
wedding of my life.
Loved it.
I do too.
Loved every second of it.
Best wedding dress ever.
Best choice.
Yes.
To marry you.
Aww. I love you too,
I love
honey.
you.
If you want us to post how he proposed to me, let me know. I have the entire video, and let me tell you, I cannot do the alphabet.
If you have any stories that you want us to read, send them to us as well. Post them in the comments.
Spooky. We'll do spooky. We'll do family friendly. We will do
or any ideas for
funny kid stories.
Just try as best to keep it like family oriented. Not family oriented, but like about being a parent or parenting or children.
Even if it's parenting your cats. I first was a cat parent before I was a human parent.
Fur babies.
Still a parent.
Or just cats in general.
Cats always win.
Yes. We like cats.
We do. I made him like cats, but we're fine.
I'm allergic, but it's okay.
All right. So before we keep rambling for days, it was nice to have you. And feel free to comment, like, subscribe, or give us suggestions down below. We'll appreciate it. Meow.